And as you said, that's all they've ever done is the OR. Sure, they've trained, they've precepted, and they may have even mentored somebody. But are we doing succession planning, and what does that look like? And can we still retain these experienced nurses, either on a PRN status, or can we use them in a different way, like a consultant? Can you come in as a consultant every now and again with this group? Maybe we can't afford an entire nurse residency program for the OR at this time, but we have this pool of nurses who will help perform that, and they don't want to be in the OR, for a 40-hour plus week. So we can transfer the knowledge that way. And I think the other thing that, and you may mention this, I'm not, I'm going to bring it up now. We are also losing some of that if we don't have the new nurses, because they come in fresh, and they are so used to, AI is coming whether you want it to or not. We've been using it for a while. A lot of experienced nurses may not even understand how much that's been incorporated into things. But the new generations that are coming, and it doesn't have to be, a 21-year-old nurse when she first graduates. We can have a 30 something nurse that's just graduated, or even a 40 something nurse that's just graduated. But guess what? They have experienced this, using cell phones, doing all these things with smartphones for a much longer period of time. And we're going to need that experience and ease of which they learn these new processes to help round it out. So I think we can both benefit from each other. I want nurses to retire. Some of them we really want to retire. But we also, and even if they're grouchy nurses, you know what? Maybe they just need a change. Maybe they don't need to exit the facility completely, but maybe we can find something that makes them feel, you know, well cared for, valued. And that is part of, and we'll do a segment on this, an episode on this as well, for burnout. Maybe they want to retire because they're just burnt out. A lot of good projects that you can do to find out. Mary Ann mentioned one in the beginning, and that's another one. What can we do to keep these nurses around, but still give them the freedom to enjoy life, the best life ever, the one they've worked hard for?
Right, right, right. And by the way, Rosemary mentioned AI. We have done a podcast on AI, so we
Oh,
hope you look at that and watch that as well.
mhm.
AI specifically for the operating and what that looks like. So,
Yes, paging doctor, a
so
logarithm. Look it up. It's a good one.
that
Fresh
was
knowledge too. Lots of new things coming, and I think that sometimes too, Marianne, if you've worked in the OR a long time, maybe you're just tired, and I think there's ways to deal with that as well, and maybe you don't want to learn anything new. But that keeps your brain going, though, honestly, when you have to learn new things, when you do change. And I think there's value to that. We talk about holistic nursing and forming new synapses. That's what keeps your brain going. And also new friendships. You may think they're young. What do they know? They're, blah, blah, blah. No, they know a lot. They can bring so many things and such joy and funny and actually a lot of good music to the OR too.
yeah. What you were talking about, the desire to help or maybe be a consultant or something was talked about in this publication. It was Burmeister. It was 2016, so
Mhm.
not exactly recent, but 10 years ago. One of the things I found interesting about that article was I couldn't believe this. The relative share of individuals older than 59 is expected to increase to 21% in 2050. That's an enormous number of people leaving. When you think about losing 21% of your knowledge every time somebody retires, that's a lot.
Mhm.
So I really thought that that was interesting. I also liked when they said that intergenerational knowledge transfer is a matter of survival to prevent corporate amnesia.
Yep.
So this article wasn't about the operative specifically; it was about all employment. But yeah, I like that term, corporate amnesia, because you
Oh,
don't know.
don't we know that? Oh my gosh. We did that. We tried that. Yes. Yes, we did.
We did. I mean, when things leave, you management may not know what left, right? Because if there's not a formal process, and that's one of the things they were talking about, if there's not a formal process, it just there's an assumption that this knowledge has been transferred when indeed it may not have been.
Mhm.
One thing that was interesting is they talked about things that influence the transfer of knowledge, like generational affiliation, experience, career status, that kind of thing. It was interesting because in this paper anyway, they searched for and were unable to find anything regarding like true differences theoretically or empirically in the differences in the differences in the different
It was really different.
differences between the different age groups, Gen Z, Boomer, Millennial, whatever. And that's unsubstantiated. In this particular article, they were unable to substantiate that there is, in fact, a difference in knowledge, learning, or transfer, because it also transfers up, right? It's not just
Yep.
down. So that they said it doesn't really matter. And they weren't able to find anything that definitively said, oh, yes, this generation is very good at transfer and this one's very good at receiving. That's not really what happened. Um, it really boils down to for knowledge transfer what, when, how, why, and whom. They're just it's very broad when we talk about knowledge transfer. One of the things that's a big factor is how motivated was the retiree to actually help. Not everyone's motivated to leave behind knowledge.
Mhm.
Some people are very generous with their information and others not so much. The organization just assumes that they're going to do it, and that may not be the case. Most of the time, there's no formal process for people to make a transfer. I mean, if they're leaving, all of a sudden there's a crush, say 2 weeks notice, and they're going to be leaving. How much can you really transfer in 2 weeks, right? So a formalized process would definitely be helpful.
Mhm.
And if it doesn't, the transfer is likely not to occur to any good benefit. Uh, it also has to do with the career of the person. Were they mid-career and they're moving on to something else? Maybe they're semi-retired and they're going to a different department like